Hi everybody, it's Guy and Callum from Blue Hub, and we're back with another news update. And today we've got another release note from Dia. Lots of exciting features in this one, so we're going to walk you through each release and then take a deep dive on a few of the ones that we think will really benefit most people. Let's have a look then, Cal. What have we got?
Yeah, so I'm just sharing my screen now from the new blog post from Dia, and we've got a couple of release notes, like Guy said there. So the first feature we actually briefly mentioned in our last video that we did, and this one's called, well, it's Sales Demand Forecast, and it's a new report that you can access in your system from now. So essentially what this report aims to do is to give you a bit more of some more tools around forecasting sales. And what's really interesting about this feature is that it also works in hand with the MRP module that Dia recently brought out. So this report allows you to essentially generate a forecast based on a couple of set parameters. So we can look on year, we can look in the last month, and we can even apply different things like moving averages. We can have forecast types. We can have planned sales. And the interesting thing about this is you can then take that as a CSV export and upload it directly to the MRP module as a forecast. So when you run your MRP to see what you need to produce or what you need to purchase, we can actually use that forecast that Dia's generated to help work that out. So it's quite an interesting one, really, and we'll probably have a separate video to go through that one individually because there's quite a few settings to turn on and off. But yeah, it's a really exciting one, and I think a lot of clients will use that one more specifically. We have quite a lot of clients that might receive long-term orders from their customers, so they might receive a plan for 6 months ahead of large orders that will then call off over time. So this is a really good one where they can look at that and they can also put that into the MRP as well. So really good one.
Yeah, it's been fun watching how Dia have evolved their forecasting over the last few years. I think the first one was the inventory velocity report, which only looked backwards at trends of usage to calculate, how many parts you'd use on a day per average, and would let you know when you'd hit zero stock. And for some people that don't have any peaks and valleys to their sales or their production, that can work quite well. And then over the last maybe 6 months, I think they've started to release the MRP module, which is much more sophisticated. And now I feel like this is kind of bringing together best of both worlds and really growing it up from where it was before. So I'd say like 3 years ago, there was no forecasting in there, to now with this, we've got some pretty advanced features, which is exciting for nearly all of our clients, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. It's a great addition because previously, anytime a client would ask about forecasting, we would always tell them that it's a difficult space. Each business has their own requirements, and it's also very expensive. So you would be paying your Dia monthly subscription of whatever it might be, and then the standard apps that are out there charge quite a higher fee, sometimes higher than Dia itself. So now that Dia's made this part of their package, it makes that price point much more attractive, because not only are you getting production, MRP, you're also getting forecasting. Of course, it might not have as many features of those apps, but it has the basics, and it has a really key one, which is growth. A lot of companies are growing, as we've seen in the past couple of years, and we can apply a percentage to that. So it's really interesting one.
I think as well, for so many of the smaller businesses that might watch this will be looking at Dia, a lot of them actually aren't doing that advanced forecasting right now, and they want to see what's the best practice. So by using something that's out of the box like this, it's a really good start for anybody.
Definitely.
Okay, so, what's next?
We'll probably have a separate video on that one because it's a good one to go through. So the second feature that Dia have announced is, again, another really welcome addition. So Dia have essentially termed this directed put away. And what this essentially is it's rules behind where you're putting stock. But what comes with this is bin capacity and location capacity, which has been requested for a number of years now. So when we're receiving stock, we can essentially apply rules to that location of, should we fill our empty bins first? Should we try to fill our full bin, partially full bins first, or should we just move to a new bin? So there's quite a few settings we can actually turn on. If I just jump to the other screen, we can sort of look at the options we have available with this feature. So if I just switch tabs And then if you look into reference books and then with under locations, if I can find it.
Further down.
There we go, yeah. So under locations, we can then select a location. And now under the general tab of your selected location, you'll see use directed receive / put away. When you select that, you can then see bin suggested priority. So you can say whether we want to use the empty first, loaded bins first, or alphabetical ascending and descending. So we can select these. Once you've done that, you'll then need to look at bins. Now under bins, before you just had bin description, and then you might see work center if you're using the production module. Whereas now we've got this little rule tab. And if you just click this blank space and then select add new item, this is where we can then define those put away rules. So on top of use empty first or loaded first, we can further define those parameters. So if I can just quickly pop in a name here, we can then say which bins this applies to within that selected location. And then we can assign a minimum capacity and a maximum capacity for that bin also. So that's the huge part that's been requested for a long, long time. People want to have capacities on bins. And now that we've got that, it's a really welcome addition. So I can put my capacities in there. We can have additional rules like allow batch split at receive / put away. And we can also have parameters on size, which again is really good actually. So we can have minimum length, widths, heights, and we can also have minimum and max weights as well. And also we can choose to apply this to all products or selected products, which you can see at the bottom as well, which again is really, really good. So it'll be good to see how this one develops, and also if it will be available in any reports as well, because I know a lot of people, another thing that's requested a lot is bin replenishment. So it'll be really interesting to see how this applies to MRP module, smart reordering, and also all those other reports you can use. So yeah, it'd be a good one to see to develop.
Well, through reading through the notes, I think it said that you can put a bit of a path, right? So if bin A1 is full, then go to this bin, then go to that bin. So there can be some level of instruction. What I'm pretty impressed with is this one is like, this is a first release, right? This wasn't in there at all. And it's already covering like weights and dimensions. And as soon as we read this feature, we had like a few clients come to mind. And whenever I speak to businesses that are looking at Deer for the first time, some of them that are, especially around like anyone doing kind of third-party warehouse services, you know, this is a really like key feature that a lot of people think, well, that should just be there. But you know, that's true of many features, but I think this is a really good first release.
Yeah, it's a really good one actually. Like we said, a lot of clients it can apply to. So yeah, excited to let them guys know about it, because I know it's one of them people always say, oh, we think it should be there, and now it is. So at least we've got that benefit. Okay, shall we carry on to the next feature? So the next one, the next three that we have here are a little bit smaller than the ones above, but they're still very welcome additions. So the third feature is push notifications for the MES, which again is very welcome, because I get asked this question a lot demoing these sorts of devices and the apps like the MES and the WMS, and it's how will people know? So now we can actually have push notifications. So when you're assigned to a task on the MES, you'll actually get an alert through the app to say you've been assigned this task. You can now go in and complete that.
And just quickly, Callum, for people that might not be using the MES or aren't familiar with it, you know, what's the function of the MES? Like, what does it currently do for people anyway?
So the MES stands for Manufacturing Execution System, and it's a very straight to the point piece of software where it literally just tracks tasks against manufacturing orders. Right. So when you create a production order in Deer, you then have production runs, and that's how you process a production order. When you create a production order, that is what's then assigned as a task in the MES, and dependent on the resource assigned to that run will be dependent on who it goes to in which device on the MES. And within the MES, you can see your bill of materials, you can start, suspend, stop jobs, consume them, and report all the actions for completing that job.
So the MES is essentially a replacement to a paper job sheet, and that's going to be used by the guy on the floor?
Exactly that, yeah.
Right,
The guy
okay.
on the floor doing the job. People can work around it however they want, and they might have one device for a team leader, and they're going around and updating the app. But most commonly, it's person on the floor. They click start, they do their work, click complete, tell the system what they've used. That will then update the office, and the office can finish the job.
So until this release, they'd have to go and find their work and look for it. And now what you're saying is with this release, they're actually going to be notified of things that need their attention.
Exactly that, yeah.
Right,
And
cool.
it's really funny. It came up yesterday with a client, and the workaround that we've always used is that the scanning devices, coincidentally, which I've got here, are Android phones with an infrared scanner. So the workaround was always you can download Teams, or you can even put SIM cards in these and call someone.
Right. All
So
right.
that was always the workaround. But now we've got push notifications. It saves credit, so it's useful to have.
Saves credit.
Yeah.
Old school Cal. But that happens just so often as well. I think you said something cool there, which was, just yesterday we had someone bring this up. We hadn't looked at this until today, and now it's there. Yeah. I think a lot of people can feel a bit of apathy, like, oh, well, I want this feature in Deer, but they'll never listen to me. They really, really do, and they're turning around things very fast right now. So this is an example. This was on our wish list, and it's appeared. So, make sure you use their forum and ask for features because they do listen.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so the fourth feature that we have added on here is the Amazon FBA inbound shipment improvements. So I think it was a couple of releases ago now, Dia announced the Amazon FBA integration. So that's where you can track and manage your FBA process. The addition that they've made here is the control over the inbound shipment. So as Dia have mentioned there, goods stock transfers from your Dia location to your FBA location. So that's from your warehouse and sending it to Amazon FBA. What this addition adds is essentially control over that, and you're now able to also print your labels from Dia itself. So there's certain requirements on labeling for your packages when they receive it at the FBA location. You're now able to pull those through the API from Amazon, print those in Dia, stick them on your packages, and send them off to Amazon FBA. So it's quite a welcome one. The FBA integration as a whole is quite a substantial addition, so it will require its own separate video to go through all the little bits in there. But yeah, a good addition actually, because previously people would have had to probably go to Amazon, print it, and then come back. So it's quite a useful one.
And if you're an Amazon seller and you want to learn a bit more about how Deer or Zero works with Amazon, we have a long form webinar actually on this channel. So if you subscribe, we're pumping out content on Deer and Zero related apps all the time, and Amazon's a real key feature of that. And then check out our old videos as well if you want to learn a little bit more right now about how Amazon can be integrated with your other business systems.
And finally, we have a very small improvement, and that's purely just around one of the production reports. So Dia said here, production improvements, and it's just around the reporting module. So the production module is fairly new now. I think it's been around about 12 months, maybe more, I'd say. And they're constantly improving their reports, and the reports that you can get from the production module are actually really in depth and really useful. And the addition that they've made here is just around to the finished products wastage report. So it will now show you component wastage as well as any wastage of finished products. So your wastage is what you report. The wastage for your component is what you report on the run, and then you finally report any wastage of the finished product on the output. So this report will now pull both of those, and you can view them as a whole. So for example, end of the month, you can run a report on how much you wasted during that period. So it's quite a good one that they've added. And the final one that you can just see under there is you can now undo, void, and mark as completed bulk action to production orders. So you can select from the tick box on the left hand side and bulk undo, bulk void, or complete.
Yeah, Perfect. Good. I think that's another sign that the production module is really maturing now, right? Like how this flows is there's a need for a feature, there's a beta release of a feature, the feature gets released in full, and then we start seeing reports, automations, notifications coming up. And that's been a few of these releases. So I think that core production product now is where it's going to be for a little bit. And that's just a case of building on these further outputs and additional features.
Definitely.
Good. Great. Well, I think that covers it. So thank you all for watching this. If you want to learn more about Dia or about Zero or about integration and all things software for product-based businesses, we don't work for Dia, we don't work for Zero. We're just software experts that work with these systems every single day. So if there's something you want to know about, type it in the comments below and we'd love to hear from you and make videos just for you guys. Other than that, have a great day. Watch some of our other videos and we'll see you very soon.
Thank you for watching.